Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the European crossover webinar. And we're seeing, looks like another quiet day in FX. Look at the dollar index; it's barely even moved. We'll take a look at the euro dollar. Very quiet action here in euro. Also, look at this; just a small range. And Irina says, "Good morning, Irina." And we're still seeing the indices still adding on. Look at this Nasdaq still adding on to gains, still pushing higher, and feel sorry for anybody who's trying to stand in the way of this thing. Look at this thing. We'll take a look on the 2 hour to see where they could be heading. There might be a little pause right there. Oh, that's where it went to. Wow. 11,575. Dang. Yeah, so yeah, there's a nice little right there. See that? And that's exactly where it went to. Even then, we haven't even come off that much, but look at that. So take a look at the SPOOs. Pretty good run here also on them. Yeah, just almost with this close there. At 34.32. And a quick look at gold. Relatively quiet. Crude oil. And let's see what's on the economic calendar. So we did have German import and export data that came out a couple hours ago. And that's going to be it until we get to Mexican inflation. That'll be at 7 a.m. Eastern. And then we do have Canadian housing starts at 8:15 Eastern. And of course, the weekly jobless claims. Wow, and that's it. No data. Do have UK GDP, that's tomorrow. And news is sparse. We do have the one story on the dollar. We'll get to that. Dollar and yen lower as U.S. stimulus helps boost sentiment. The safe haven dollar and Japanese yen nursed losses on Thursday after the revival of hopes for some U.S. stimulus spending improved investor sentiment, while the prospect of negative interest rates dragged on the New Zealand dollar. President Trump and Speaker Pelosi seem open to pursuing a stimulus package for the airline industry, despite Trump hinting talks with Democrats for a bigger plan. Investors also expect a Joe Biden administration, if elected, would quickly spend money to stimulate growth. That mood has lifted equity markets and sunk the safe haven yen to a 3-week low of 611. The dollar struggled to recoup losses against other majors. Perhaps the market is a bit more relaxed about the fiscal stimulus story, said Bank of Singapore currency strategist Mo Sim. We might not get a stimulus pre-election, but if polls are right and we see a Democratic sweep, we will then likely get fiscal stimulus late in the year or early next year. With no news on the stimulus front and Chinese markets still closed, bonds were light and moved slight in Asia. New Zealand dollar was the biggest loser among the G10 currencies, dropping as 0.5%, as central bank officials hinted that negative rates are in the offing. Money market prices on 2021 rate cut deepened after the remarks slipped to a 3-week low against the Aussie. A buoyant and mood in equity markets was also supported by hints of even more easing from the Federal Reserve. September meeting minutes on Wednesday showed many participants assumed the economy would suddenly be supported or would be supported by fiscal spending, and some are open to further debate about the Fed's bond buying program. This nuance did not come across in Powell's post-meeting press conference or in recent speeches. In that vein, it's worth noting the Fed's Loretta Mester on Monday said that she might support shifting asset purchases to more long-dated bonds. Elsewhere, Vice President debate did not move currency markets and reinforce expectations on the policy, saying the Trump or Biden administration would hold. Pence reiterated his hardline stance against China. This bunch of all, it's not even worth reviewing. Just a bunch of drivel. ECB is watching out for pandemic-induced credit crunch, Schnabel says. ECB is watching out for signs of a credit crunch as banks see their profits wiped out by the coronavirus pandemic and brace for a wave of unpaid loans once government support schemes expire. ECB member Isabel Schnabel said on Thursday, "We are monitoring this very carefully, looking at whether this translates into tighter credit standards and lower lending, which could also impair ECB policy transmission." And German exports rise on long-hanging fruits of recovery. German exports rose for the fourth month running and by more than expected in August, boosting hopes for a rebound in the third quarter in Europe's largest economy after the coronavirus shock earlier in the year. Seasonally adjusted, exports rose 2.4% on the month after 4.7% realized in July. Economists polled by Reuters had expected exports and imports to both rise by 1.4%. The export economy has been reaping the low-hanging fruits in recent months. The worst is behind us, but this does not mean the German economy is immune to short-term setbacks. On the year, the office said that exports to China fell by just 1.1% in August, where exports to the U.S., which was particularly affected by the corona pandemic, fell 21.1%. We are seeing the Nasdaq come off a little bit further from that area here. But 1575. But not significantly. We may make a move towards the same day VWAP down here, about 1515-ish. Oh, with that, we might as well move into the analysis. It's really a quiet session, very quiet. Wow, it is just so quiet. Look at this. So the year closed high on Wednesday. The bulls remain in control. Resistance will be 1818 with support at 1710. But they're not doing anything with this right here. Can't really see it's bearish. Well, I was just kind of sitting here. We need to get back above 1787 on a closing basis to get things really going. And move into the cable. So cable closed minimally higher on Wednesday. Resistance will be 29.72. With support at 28.45. The Aussie closed near the 50% of the prior session's body. You can see right here. Resistance would be 71.62. We're at 71.65 right now. We're supported 70.95. So there's just not really a whole lot happening. It does look a little bit more happening in Aussie, but for the most part, not a whole lot. And moving on to the Kiwi. Looks like we've recovered a bit here. The Kiwi finished Wednesday with a new 6-day closing lows. Support on Thursday would be 65.29 with resistance at 65.86. And we're above that right now. And let's go move into the dollar CAD. Who's just trading these small ranges today? I mean, this is just super quiet. The dollar CAD rebounded. Well, I don't know why this didn't update, but you can see here on the dollar CAD. Look, we engulfed this whole area right here. Open now to go on and moving lower after this close, and support will come in. All right, actually, it's going to be actually a little bit lower, which will be 32.07. With resistance. Going to be right there at the 32.69. And we'll move on to the dollar peso. So the dollar peso closed lower, albeit within the prior session's body. You can see that within the body here. Support will be 21.34 with resistance at 21.65. And on to the dollar yen. So the dollar yen closed at its best levels in nearly 3 weeks. Resistance on Thursday would be 630 with support at 657. And I meant to say 557. And onto the cash dollar index. Boy, I tell you what, this session is stuff is not going anywhere. Look at this. This is just pathetic. I mean, look at this range in the dollar index, a 20 tick range in the dollar index. Holy smokes. The dollar index pared back on Wednesday as equities moved to near Tuesday's high. Support on Thursday will be 93.24 with resistance at 93.94. And on to the cross rates. Okay, the Kiwi yen, you can see a little bit of a reversal, 69.37. That still remains good. The only difference is on the upside. We had 69.90, and you can see this, the bottom right here, that right there, it's only going to move to 69.95. So just only 5 ticks. And on to the euro yen. So I saw a bit of a reversal here. Look at that. Obviously, with the yen weakening, resistance now at this point. Right there. Yep. 24.94. And support 24.48. Oh, did see a pretty good little rebound, or not rebound, but a runoff on Euro odd. And you can see right where it went to. And 2 hour support here is going to be 64.09. Resistance is going to be this lower body right there coming across. You can see confluence with this wick. That would be 64.72. They were higher earlier. Probably ought to give it a lot more room here because really that's not where they opened. So once again, this bar here, that is 64.72. So that's what we'll go with. Onto the Euro Kiwi. Obviously, with the Kiwi weakening, you can see where they went to. The 79.62 level, that'll be resistance. Came up short of it, but once again, 79.62. And that's going to be support right there. 7807. And on to the Aussie yen. A little bit of a push higher here with the yen weakening. That opens the door for us to rally up potentially to right there, which is, well, not that far away, is 7611. And we'll go right there for support, 7566. And on to the guppy. Obviously, with the yen weakening, allowing this to move higher, resistance today is going to be right there, which is right where they ran out of gas, just about 37.41. Boy, it's been a pretty good little march here. Support right there, 36.94. Guess it could be a little bit lower here, 36.86. And lastly, the sterling odd. We're trading pretty in a pretty tight range, just basically mirroring FX. I mean, FX is just dead right now. I mean, I'm talking about today's session, just simply dead. Resistance is going to be right there. Well, actually, it should be right here. Let's call it 81.80. At 81.81, that's fine. And on the downside, 79.75. And if you look at, that's going to do it here for FX. It's just a dead day. I mean, absolutely just dead in the water. Got to call it like it is. Hang on. And this is better than taking a sleeping pill. If someone took it, holy smokes, just nothing happening. But that being said, we'll go to Nasdaq. And I told you we're looking to make a move to same day VWAP, and there we are right there. And you can see, look, see how we've kept dripping lower. So we were at 11,545, and now we're 11,526. So 525.20 lower, and they're same day VWAP. Because we hit that key level. I really wanted to look at Apple. We'll take a look at Apple, and then we'll call it a day. Because, like I said, nothing really happening. Looking at it here on the daily, just mixed bag in it. Not really anything happening here. Although we do have on the upside that 116.87, and that was the you can that was the 38%, and also was confluencing with the 20-day MA. That's probably moved a little bit from now, but not anything of any real consequence. I just want to remove that. Let's look at it on a 2-hour chart. We did gap up here to 116. There we go. There's that resistance 116.87. I mean, we've had a pretty good little run so far. I'm not sure how much we'll push. I think they'll take a pause and kind of come back here. I mean, you have to look at it on the Nasdaq, and we went to that 11,575. Right now we're at 11,531 after tagging 11,525. So we came up 50 handles, and I just don't see a whole lot to move today. I mean, we can move higher. I just don't see us breaking immediately to new highs. Anything's possible. I think you have to be buying these dips, but I just don't really see anything of any real value right now at this point. Anything to say, wow, you see here, like it's coming to this support level here, which we don't need that anymore. It just seems like it's just in no man's land. I mean, we're looking on a 2-hour chart, and you can see here, it just kind of sat there right here in this after hours, and then kind of jumped up here, and there's just not a whole lot happening. We're just trading in this range. From essentially 112, potentially up here to 117, which that's 116.87. And really, other than that, I don't see a whole lot happening here. There's not anything that jumps out with Apple that I see of any significance. NVIDIA is stronger, but that's always the same. See what I'm saying? There's never really any changes. Microsoft at 210. And yeah, I mean, that's it. It's boring right now. There's not really anything happening. But, I mean, and nothing's as boring as FX right now today. I mean, it's really dead. I think it's just that we've had that run yesterday, and it really threw a lot of people off. I'm just talking about they don't. It doesn't make any sense to fade it, and you could have taken a step at 11,575 because we were at a key level. I didn't see it at the time. By the time I got up, so it wasn't worth. I might have taken a little fade, thinking, well, I can't push too much higher, and it did, but it wasn't like it completely fell apart. And I'm talking about the Nasdaq. You see Amazon. Look here. See how they've jumped up here in the after hours. Now this is interesting here because we're right at resistance at 31.97, and well, actually they're right here. Looks like they came up to 31.99, and Facebook jumped up here at 260, and it's faded just a little bit. And Netflix, look how strong Netflix is. That resistance. It should be 539. Looking at it on a 2-hour chart. So we're 535 and a half. There's just not a whole lot happening. I'm just saying I don't see what anyone's gonna. I think you have to be a buyer on any dips, but like I said, yeah, it's been a boring morning. But with that, we'll wrap up the webinar. I'll post the bias chart, and thanks for joining us here on the European Crossover webinar.